All right, welcome in to Ben Talks Utah Hockey. I'm here today, and we are going to be just kind of going over a recap of the first quarter of the season here. We are 29 games in, so a little over a quarter of the season in, and Utah Hockey Club sitting at fifth in the Central with a record of 13, 11, and 5. We've got 31 points. Um, we just came off of a win versus Colorado, 4-1 in Colorado, and big win for the boys. And basically, in this episode, I'm just going to be talking about some players that I think have started off with a good season. I'm going to talk a couple of the injuries as well that have happened this year and some guys that we haven't even really seen yet. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of break a couple things down, and it's going to be kind of a short little episode, but yeah, let's get into it. So 13, 11, and 5. Um, we're just underneath the league average here. 32 points is the league average. We got 31. We just jumped over the St. Louis Blues with the win last night, and yeah, we're better than I thought we were going to be this year. We did get off to that hot start, winning three in a row to start the season on that East Coast swing, but then we kind of fell back off again, and now they've kind of brought themselves back, and they're kind of getting on a little bit of a hot streak, even with some overtime losses, which we've had five of. Kind of it kind of sucks, but at least you get that point out of those losses, which points are going to be huge. We need every point we can get here going into the middle part of the season. Um, and, especially in conference matchups, teams like the Colorado Avalanche, um, teams like the Sharks coming up. I know they're in the Pacific, but still in the Western Conference. We need as many points as we can get versus in conference teams. Which surprisingly, I think now we're 3-4-2 versus conference play, and then 7-10-3 versus non-conference, so Eastern Conference opponents, which is okay, but we do need to up those numbers against some of the Western Conference. So, just want to talk a couple of guys that I think have been having really good seasons. There's a few. I'm going to talk about a couple here. First, I'm going to start off with Logan Cooley. Guy is just, man, what can you say? He plays a 200-foot game. He's young. He's in his second full season in the NHL, and I mean he's been great this year. He's got 24 points, 7 goals, 17 assists. You'd like to see him score just a few more goals, I think. But he's right up there in the points leaders on the squad. Um, Having a great season. He's 20. You know, he's a shorter guy. He's only 5'10". But he just plays with so much hustle and heart, and he continues to put himself in the right area to score goals and to assist goals and be there for his team. And he's been a great defensive center. He hasn't been so great in the face-off dot, I will say, but I think that's going to come with more experience and just more time. I mean, it's only his second full season. He's he's got to work on that, but I think it's tough to work on that in practice. I think that's going to be just the more in-game face-offs Cooley can take and the more high-pressure face-offs that he takes. I think that he's just a huge upside for the future of this team, and he just just the way he plays. I notice him every night. There's a few plays every night that I just noticed Cooley. Just I mean, the way he back checks, the way he forechecks with pressure, and just the way he just puts himself in the right spot. Game last night, he had he didn't score. He had 2 assists, but on the first goal from Gunther, he Cooley was driving to the net. Gunther takes a wide angle shot, and Cooley's right there. It ends up bouncing off one of the Avalanche defensemen and going into the net, but Cooley's right there for the tip in, and I've just continued to see that from his game, and it's just been really exciting to watch Cooley. I think if I had to buy a Utah jersey, if I could buy one, since they're kind of sold out here, I'd probably buy a Cooley jersey just because I love the way the kid plays the game. Uh, Next, I want to talk about defenseman Michael Kesselring, 25-year-old. He's a U.S. born defenseman. 4 goals, 11 assists for 15 points. He's just behind Mikhail Sergachev for defensive men with points on the team. He's got 15, and he's having a really good season. I mean, does he make mistakes? Yes, but he in watching him last year and then watching him this year, he's improved a lot, and he's gotten a little bit more confident with carrying the puck, and he's got a little bit more aggressive too. He plays a lot more aggressively, and I think being on the second pairing with Ian Cole now that Maverick Lamoureux's out, um, Kessering has had he's been able to play a little bit more free. He knows that Cole has got his back. He's going to play a little bit more defensively. Not saying that Ian Cole doesn't jump into the play as well, but Michael has really he's just really impressed me the way he takes shots, the way he gets in lanes, blocking shots, and just he's fun to watch. He's got a really hard shot, and as of late, he has been putting the puck on the net or to the net a lot more than he did in the first part of the year and last year. He's taking a lot more shots. He's getting a little bit more minutes now, and I think that over time in the next couple of years, if Utah does keep him, which they should, I think he's going to really blossom into a top six type role, maybe a middle six type role with Utah, and he has been playing those top 6 minutes, and so I really think he's kind of taking that upon himself. He's getting quite a bit of minutes. I think he's getting averaging like 19 minutes a night, and yeah, let's look here. Cass. Yeah, he's averaging 19 minutes, 17 seconds a night, and he's playing a lot of minutes, and I've just been really impressed with his game this year. Really exciting to watch. He's been one of my favorite defensemen to watch. Anyway, and next let's talk a little Karel Vejmelka. Karel has been a brick wall, it seems, this year. He's really, really, really playing well as of late. And in the first part of the season, when it was him and Ingram, now that Ingram has been injured, he's been out since November. But in the first part of the season, when Karel made starts, we were not scoring goals for him. And now we're getting the goal support, and he's maybe letting in 1 goal a night, 2 goals a night, and we're scoring 4 or 5, 6 goals for him. And I think that's really important. He's got he's got a great save percentage. He's at, let's see, his save percentage is 917, and he's at 2.36 goals against. He's just playing really well. His record 5-7-2 in 14 starts, and I mean, his record doesn't reflect that he's been playing really well, but like I said, it's just the run support behind him. He hasn't typically had that help from the offensive side of things, but I think now that Utah's playing with a little bit more confidence, he's kind of getting into he's getting help, and that just, again, you got a hot goaltender and you put up goals, it's going to be tough to beat you. And even in the games that we've lost recently in this last month, I think even in those games we've lost, we've played it close most of the time, and we've given ourselves a chance. Whereas I think last year, you get down by a goal or two. The Coyotes, when they were the Coyotes, they would just kind of lay down, go to sleep, and take a nap. And I don't think that's going to be the case this year. We've shown a lot more heart, a lot more fight, even in games that we get down or they're close, where they're 1-goal games. This team's learning how to put games away and put games out of reach, or close them out when they need to. And Karel Vejmelka, he's been a huge backbone to that. I mean, goalie is one of the most important positions in the NHL. You got to have two good goaltenders that you can rely on. And I think Karel, he's going to be the workhorse this year, even when Connor Ingram does come back. I think Karel has, in my eyes, he's earned himself the starting spot. And when Connor Ingram comes back, I think he's going to be the backup, which is fine. Hopefully, Connor, he didn't get off to the greatest start. His record is 6-4-3, and he also hasn't had a ton of scoring support when he starts, but I think that's turning around here as we get to the middle part of the season. But yeah, Karel, he's been huge for the team, and just really excited to see like how athletic he is in the net, and him staying home more this year, and he's not getting out of position as much as he was last year, and he's just made some really timely saves. It's just really exciting to see. And then next player I want to talk is, let's see, where are my notes here? Jack McBain. It's just really fun to see how this team is evolving, and to see Jack McBain playing on the second line with Gunther and Cooley. Honestly, it's one of the most exciting lines that I've seen in the NHL this year. I mean, you can talk about, Nathan McKinnon and that top line in Colorado. They're pretty exciting too. Him and Makar, and he's a defenseman, but those guys, like, they just played him, but we got the better of them. But you can talk those guys all you want, but literally one of the most exciting lines right now for me is the second line in Utah: McBain, Cooley, and Gunther. And Jack McBain has had a huge year for him. He's sitting with, he's got 13 points, 9 goals, 4 assists, and he's playing a role on that line. I think last year he was a third or fourth liner for the Coyotes, all year, playing bottom 6 minutes. Now he's getting those top 6 minutes, and he's really showing he just the way he plays. I mean, he's needed on that line. He brings a little bit of physicality, but he can also put the goal or put the puck in the net. I mean, he's not he's not afraid to go in the corner. Neither is Cooley, but he's not afraid to go in the corners, lay the body, tie up the puck, get the puck deep, get it into the corners, get it into the dirty areas, and then get in front of the net. I mean, he's just played very solid this year. I think he's definitely had a huge improvement just since the last couple of years. He's 25 now, um, and he's just playing really well this year, and he's just been a bright spot for me on that second line now that he's moved up to that pairing. With all the line switching that was happening in the beginning part of the year, I think it's really important that Andre Tourney has kind of solidified the lines as far as that goes. I know the defenseman, that's been kind of a little rotating carousel there with all the injuries, but yeah, I'm happy that lines have kind of made more sense now. Pairing guys that you want to keep them together so they build that chemistry this year. And yeah, McBain's been a huge addition to that second line, and I really like him there. He just plays with grit. He's one of those grinding players that I just like his game, but he can also put the puck in the net. So he's been really exciting to watch. Um, and yeah, let's talk Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller, he's having a good year. He did get snubbed. Some would say he got snubbed off of the Four Nations roster for those upcoming in February. But uh, honestly, they were saying he's on the bubble. He's on the bubble for that USA slot. But I think it kind of fired him up a little bit to get let off that roster, to not make that roster, and I think I'm thinking it kind of lit a fire underneath him because in the first part of the season he wasn't shooting the puck a lot, and he was trying to make that last little one touch pass, in front of the net, or try to make something a little too cute, I think. And in the last few games, I've noticed he's been shooting the puck. I mean, he's got 9 goals, 17 assists for 26 points. He's second. Gunther just jumped him in points last night. Gunther's got 28 to lead the team. Previously, Keller was leading the team. He's at 26 points. Um, he's he's just shooting the puck more. And I think getting to the slot and getting to like the dots, not keeping the puck so wide. He has a tendency to, that's one of the kind of staples of his game is he's kind of down in the corner or he's on the sideboards, handling the puck and trying to be a playmaker first. And I think recently he's been taking a shot before he might have passed, and he might have tried to make that one last little pass, and that pass gets caught by a stick or a body or a skate and doesn't make it through. And at this point, Utah just needs to throw pucks on net, which I think has been the case as of late. Good things happen when the puck goes to the net. And you see that every night, and it's 50-50 whether you're going to get that good bounce or not. But hey, good things happen when you go to the net and when you put pucks on the net. I mean, that's just basic 101 hockey. But really been impressed with Clayton this year. He is the captain now. Finally, they gave him the C. He didn't have to wear the A this year, which thank God. You can just tell, guy's a leader. He's not the most vocal, but he doesn't have to be. He just the way he plays, I think the respect he commands in the locker room, you know, I think the guys, there's a reason he's the captain there, and again, not the most vocal guy, but I don't think he needs to be. He lets his play speak for himself and just the way he carries himself. I have noticed this year, he tended last year he tended to get frustrated, banging the stick or just visibly frustrated last year, and this year I've seen a smile on his face, and I think that's really important when you're talking about your captain of your team. I mean, he seems to be playing a little bit more free, a little bit more loose. I think all the guys that were with the team last year in Arizona, I think they're just playing more loose. There's less pressure, they're yeah, are is there still pressure? Yes. Like, do they still want to win games? Yes, of course. Like that's why we're here. But there has been just less pressure on the guys, and you can tell like they're just when they play free and have fun with smiles on their faces. I mean, you just it's going to be tough to beat them. I mean, who knows? We'll see once we get into more games this year. We're at a pretty small sample size, but as of now, I mean, we're just out of the wild card spot. But yeah, I mean, you like what you see. If this is the first year in Utah, and say we finish mid pack, in the West, I mean, you're really not going to be too upset about that. I mean, if we can improve from where we were last year, um, I think that this team in the next couple of years, I think in let's say 2 years, I think we're really going to hit. They're really going to hit their stride. Um, yeah, I just think in a couple of years, some injuries heal and some pieces maybe get moved around. Something gets added. I I just see I see good things for this team, and they've got an owner and a GM that really back them. They want them to succeed. I know um, that the owner, he's not Ryan Smith. He's not. Um, he's an interesting guy, but he wants to see Utah athletics succeed. So whether that's basketball or hockey, he's new to the hockey space. He's new to the NHL, but you can just tell there's a level of care there that some owners probably don't have, and he's an interesting character. I will say that he at first glance he's interesting. He's kind of a goofy guy, but I just genuinely think he cares, and that's really important. I think that's huge for the players. Um, they've needed that. I think especially guys like Clayton Keller, he's needed some sort of backing to be like, hey, like we got you. You're good. Like go play your game. Like you don't got to worry about moving next year and all the other things that came along with some stuff with the Arizona Coyotes, and oh you're playing in the Mullet Arena with 5,000 people, but 70% of those are Oilers fans when you play the Oilers, which I experienced in a game last season. And so guys can play freer. Um, the home crowd in Utah, they seem to be very loud and excited that Utah has a squad this year, and so it's just been really exciting to see. Anyway, let's talk some injuries here. So, guys that we've got out on injuries right now. So, first off, John Marino. He hasn't played a game this year. Um, he had back surgery in October, and he's out 3 to 4 months from October. So it's likely we're not going to see him until the next maybe in end of January, maybe in February. We're probably not going to see him back. But it'll be interesting to see what John Marino brings to this team. Um, like I said, the defensive carousel that's been happening here in Utah has been one of the weak points. There have been some bright spots, but I think with two more solid defensemen, I mean, it's that would be huge. Dursey being out, he played a couple of games in the beginning of the year. He got injured on the 14th of October, and he had to go through some shoulder surgery. Out 4 to 6 months, won't be back maybe till the end of the season. But you hate to see that. One of the main defensemen from the squad last year, and just an offensive and defensive presence. A two-way defenseman, and you really hate to see him out of the lineup. And I would think he would have been on that top pairing with Mikhail Sergachev. Being a right-handed shot, and Mikhail being a left. And you just hate to see that. It's really unfortunate. Coming in with all the buzz this season in Utah. Excuse me. Coming in with all the buzz this season, and you just don't want to see guys go down. And a lot of a lot of the guys that have gone down have been defensemen. So, excuse me. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with me, but here we are. And so, again, another injury. Robert Bortuzzo, he's out with a lower body injury. Says he's out indefinitely, which could be a week, could be 2 weeks. With Vladislav Kolyachonok stepping back up into his spot, and taking that last defensive spot. It's Bortuzzo's a bigger body. He's older. He's been around the league, but it's just you never like seeing guys go down. But it does give Vladislav Kolyachonok an opportunity to kind of prove himself, and he did that last night in Colorado, putting up a point, getting a goal. Another injury, we've got Connor Ingram. I mean, he was the story last year of our two goaltenders, and he was an award winner last year, and let's see. Oh, they just updated his injury report. December 10th, Ingram is expected to return to the ice this week, per Bell Frazier of the Salt Lake Tribune. Okay, so that's positive. Ingram coming back soon. We'll see. He did have an upper body injury in November, and he's kind of been out. He hasn't, we haven't seen or heard much about him, because I think Karel Vejmelka's kind of stole the spotlight there a little bit. But so we'll see what Ingram does when he comes back. I would expect them to send back Jackson Stauber back down to the Roadrunners, and Ingram to kind of fill in on that backup role when he comes back. So we'll see. Hopefully in the games that he does start, they kind of get him going, and they get some goal support for him, and he can play solid. So we'll see what happens when he comes back. And yeah, it'll be exciting. If both those guys if Ingram and Vejmelka can kind of be that dynamic duo together, both goalies can win games for you when you need them to, and be that backbone. I mean, I think that's it's gonna be the best case scenario. So we'll see what happens when he comes back. But yeah, so here we are. We're kind of at that midway point, or not midway point, quarter point, a third way through the season. Um, we just, it's. I was just looking at my notes last night, and we've got a +2 goal differential now. Yeah, and that is something that hopefully will likely rise. We've been scoring, and that's good. And with Karel Vejmelka in net, we've been keeping pucks out of the net. Playing really good defense when we need to, blocking shots when we need to, and for the first time in the year, we've got a +2 goal differential, and I think that's huge. Um, we're in that department, we're 19th in the league, but middle of the pack, but it's just a huge positive to not be -20 on that stat. It's it's just one of those ones that it just kind of jumped out to me last night when I was kind of looking through my notes and stuff. So, but yeah, so that's just kind of a little breakdown on a few players that I've noticed this season that have had really good years so far and have been bright spots. And yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I think we're gonna probably end this episode here. Um, we will have. I'm gonna have a post game episode of Colorado v Utah uh, here that just happened last night. I'm gonna put that one up here as well. So we're gonna go through that game a little bit and just kind of what happened. Um, but yeah, thanks you all for joining me. This has Ben Talks Utah Hockey. We'll see you on the next one.